Hi, it's me, Ingrid INFP, and I want to talk a little bit about how INFJs are misunderstood and how INFPs are misunderstood in different ways. I want to start by saying that INFJs are the most misunderstood, while the INFPs maybe feel very misunderstood, but they are not actually as misunderstood as the INFJs. I think that a lot of it has to do with the way we speak. We actually do use the same functions as many types around. The most common types as like ISTJs and stuff, ESTJs, are very common, and we do share their functions. We share FI, NE, SI, TE with the majority of the population, even though our combination is not very common. The actual functions are the same. So the way we perceive and the way we communicate and make decisions is very similar to how the majority of the world works. And the ENFPs are like the most common intuitive type for a reason, because this like combination like works, it's it's well understood by others, even though they might not understand us. Like our actual combination, they kind of know what we're talking about because they also perceive the world in the same way and also make decisions in the same manner, even though their preferences are kind of different. But INFJs have like the most unused functions among the population. An SI is the most common combination to have because SI is usually the first function of people. Not many people in the world use NI as their in their top functions, or even NI at all. ESTPs and the such are not actually. The SPs are less common than SJs in the world, and SPs use SE, use NI, just like the INTJs, INFJs, ENFJs, ENTJs. All of the NJ types are very rare, and it's kind of an unconscious kind of function. So people don't really get it if they don't have NI. And so they have NI, they have SE. SE is less commonly used than SI because in general the NI and SE axis is less common than NE SI. So that's about that function. I think that FE and TI is also the less used combination compared to TEFI, or at least TEFI is more understandable to the general public because in general people think of logic as external and feelings as internal, just by how people talk about feelings and how people in general think the world works, just from what they were taught, what people say in media and poetry, and in general people see thinking as an external objective thing and feelings as an internal irrational thing. So that's why it's easier to understand concretely why you would have TE and FI, while FE and TI is more difficult to understand. Just if you're trying to explain MBTI to like a newcomer, it's hard to explain that. But it's easier to explain TE with FI. So in general, we have this palette that we're using that is the same palette as everybody else. While INFJs use a very uncommon palette that makes their life really difficult because they do not perceive the world in the same way that others do, and they don't make decisions in the way that others do. So, and in a way, NI kind of leads itself more to like TE stuff as opposed to FE stuff. So INFJs are, that's why they're so uncommon. But in general, NI is just hard to understand if you don't have it. And so that leads to misunderstanding, like actual misunderstanding. That's what my INFJ said, is that he doesn't feel misunderstood. He knows he is misunderstood. So, well, I think INFPs feel misunderstood a lot of times because people don't take us seriously and they think that what we're doing is kind of silly and dumb. It doesn't mean that they don't understand a little bit like what we're saying. They just find it dumb. So in that way, they are misunderstanding the things that are important to us. But it's not like there's like a huge miscommunication error. It's that they don't value the same things that we do. So even though we feel misunderstood because we are very different from other people, at least in a way we are a little bit more understood than the INFJs. So that's how I wanted to talk about the misunderstandings. Unfortunately, INFJs have a really tough time in the world because what they want to talk about is like the mysteries of the universe. And a lot of times people aren't willing to talk about that, you know? People want to do all the small talk and stuff. And I think INFPs are a little bit more okay with doing the small talk, I guess. Because we know that we can find some joy, or like if we find a topic that is like exciting, we can talk about it. INFJs are often doing the small talk in order to create harmony, but it's not what they really want to talk about. Is really like deep stuff. And my INFJ friend says that it's like he sees people's eyes just like glazing over. And well, it's kind of sad because he wants to connect with people, but he can't. And that's like the NF conundrum, you know, like we want to connect with people, but we can't because we're just so strange, you know. Maybe we'd connect with people more if we were more boring, but we don't want to be boring. We want to talk about interesting, important stuff, you know. INFPs also are more likely to be Enneagram type 4. So I think that we want to feel unique. So we kind of like feeling misunderstood in a way, because it kind of adds to the mystery around us that we are trying to create in the sort of persona that we have, I think. I mean, this only applies to a few INFPs, I guess, but I do know that I don't want to be like everybody else. So being misunderstood is not really the end of the world. But if I was as misunderstood as the INFJs, I think I'd have a harder time in life. So there are some benefits to being an INFP compared to an INFJ, is that people will get what you're talking about much easier. INFJs are very verbose, like they're not as rambly as INFPs, but they want to talk a lot about certain topics and have very wide vocabulary, a very precise vocabulary that and they talk, and it's so articulate, and there's so many thoughts in there that they can't really get out. And so it is a little bit overwhelming to like a lot of sensors, but also a lot of NTs. I think we INFPs are made to like understand what the INFJ is talking about, but there will come a point where even we do not understand an I. So it's kind of like the INFJs are a little bit doomed to a life of misunderstanding, unless they find somebody of a very similar type. So yeah, that is how the misunderstanding, kind of being misunderstood, as in like you can't, like other people don't understand the language you use, who you are and stuff, as opposed to feeling misunderstood, which INFPs do feel misunderstood because we are very different from other people, and our intentions keep being misunderstood in a way because we kind of are on our own path, doing our own thing. So that's how we are misunderstood. But it's not that we actually have like tons of communication problems where nobody wants to like try to understand us. So that's what I had to say on misunderstandings and INFPs and INFJs. I want to hear your comments. I'm pretty bad at answering comments right now because I've figured out that's like the amount of videos that I'm making is vastly surpassing my ability to reply to comments. So I'll be going on holiday soon, so I'll try to space out these videos. But yeah, please do comment, and I'll get to it at some point. Have a great day. Bye bye.